Howdy, howdy, folks, and welcome to Moose Podcast number 369, A versus B, or Analysis Paralysis. How are you folks doing this incredibly fine week? I really am grateful for you to stop by and give the old Moose Podcast a listen. Our numbers slowly keep increasing, which I'm grateful for. It's what all the people say about podcasts. I really am grateful for you folks stopping by. Even more, all you that reach out. Thank you so much. I appreciate the kind words. I'm here, not going anywhere, and I'll keep sharing my trivia as long as there's some people out there who want to listen. Again, this episode is being recorded by Adobe Podcast Beta. The transcript will be there on the blog post for the podcast. Coming up, lots of stuff. Well, God, my mind's going every which way. So I'm just back from Yellowstone. The park roads all closed except for the one going to Cook City, November 1. You might have heard about the storms, quote unquote storms that came into Montana. And people were saying, 2 feet of snow and what, blah, blah, blah. Well, there wasn't 2 feet of snow, but there was enough snow to make driving conditions really hazardous. So we were in the park, and the day the snows hit, the roads got closed not because of the road conditions, but because of people driving on those roads and the accidents. And as you can imagine, when you only have a 2-lane road and there's a car or bus flipped or what have you with the ice and stuff, well, yeah, things shut down and there's no way of getting around. So that was a bummer because it was just we saw some great stuff. I keep posting pictures from it. But my point is, and it shocked me, they had to put out, these emails to people telling them how not to drive on icy roads, like don't use cruise control and don't stop on a upward grade, and I mean just some basic things. So the bottom line is, hey, winter is here, folks. I know we want to all go out there and shoot. Let's be careful, though. Let's be careful, okay? Hey, I'm going to be in Philly on the 18th, 19th at the photo show at Unique, and I would love to have you guys drop by. I'm going to be there talking cameras, talking bird photography, my great passion. Love to have you there. It's free. So, hey, what could you ask for more? And and the Eagles are playing. I mean, it's a twofer. You come see me in the morning, go watch the Eagles in the afternoon. It's like grand slam. So, look forward to seeing you there. Want to thank my good friend at Bedford's Camera, bedfords.com, for sponsoring and supporting the Moose Podcast. Today is a big day for moi. Bedford's is shipping out to me today my new Z600 F4. I can't wait to get it. It's en route. It's I don't know how they do it, but Bedford's does. They got the lens out to myself and another good friend, and these guys just rock. They've got the gear, they've got the prices, they've got the knowledge, and they've got the service that is just exponentially amazing. And of course, you get the Moose discount when you go there after you check out. So, Bedford's Camera, bedfords.com. These guys, hey, thanks for making that Christmas in October for me. Yeah, baby. I'm going to get right into this week's episode. A versus B, or analysis paralysis. Well, it is, I guess, I don't know, the season. I've had, at least from my point of view, way too many emails, phone calls, hey, I want to buy this, but I want to know about this, this, or that. And I'm always like, well, if you want to buy this, what am I missing? Why do you need the other ones? And one person, and I hadn't heard the phrase before, I liked it, said he had analysis paralysis. And I was like, man, do you ever? So when it comes to buying new gear, and we've talked about this quite a bit on the podcast, and I have the feeling that we'll be talking about it more in the future. What is the best for you? That's really the most important part of this process. What is the most important element in finding the best for you? I've mentioned this before, and it's something that I still hold to myself, and it doesn't seem to stick to others, but I'm still going to share it because I'm here to tell you it works for me. When I first started this whole photography thing way back when I was in high school, my oldest brother is a pretty smart guy, and he said, "Buy the best you can afford." Period. Just buy the best you can afford. And and at the time, well, cool, Vivitar, here I come. Which, woo, yeah, woo. Anyway, that was the best I could afford at the time. I was on a Minolta, and I couldn't afford a Rocar lenses, especially the one I wanted. So got a Vivitar, and I found out that I could do better. But literally at the time in high school, that's what I could afford. Fast forward the clock. What do I do today? It's actually the same thing. So today, my 600 F4Z comes out. Now, people are going to say, "Well, I thought you already had one." And what I did is what I always preach people should do, and I got a loaner from Nikon MPS. If you're an MPS member, you have that ability to get that free loaner. I'm not going to, $16,000. The rule of thumb is real simple. For every dollar you spend, you got to make five. So if I'm going to put down $16,000, I want to make sure that it's a tool that solves the problems that I'm facing. Or in simple terms, buying the best I can afford. Now, what issues or problems did I have that I was trying to solve? Because I have the 800-5.6 AFS. I'm not getting rid of it. I have it. And that's when I bought that lens over a decade ago, that was $18,000. Well, two major things going on. One, I really don't want to grasp hold of, but it is true. I am getting older. And two, in that process, I just want to work smarter, not harder. So that 800-5.6, it's a heavy lens. It physically is heavy. And I don't want to carry that weight anymore. The other thing is its focusing. Its minimum focusing distance is 5 feet further than the Z600 F4. 5 feet. 5 feet is a huge, huge difference photographing birds and getting image size. So the 600 F4, there are times I can get so close with that I don't need to even uh, um, engage the internal 1.4 teleconverter. That as they call it, the 600 TC, TC for teleconverter. That I got so used to that with the 180 to 400, which I don't have anymore. And then I got the loaner 400 Z400 2.8 with its TC built-in teleconverter that I use for bears. I mean, I really like that. But being able to focus 5 feet closer, that's huge. So those are the problems I want to deal with. I wanted to get closer physically with the long lens, and I want to be able to go back to hand holding. Yeah, I can hand hold the 800-5.6 AFS, but boy, after about 15, 20 minutes, my arm is ready to fall off. That's not the case with the 600. Well, what does that have to do with this podcast? Well, like I said, it must be the season. I've gotten so many people reaching out, A versus B. classic example of late has been the two things. One, the Z 70 to 180 2.8 versus the Z 70 to 200 2.8. The other one that keeps coming up is the 180 to 600 versus the Z 100 to 400. And I mean, people are seriously spending way too much time looking at videos and not saying, um, hey, these images suck. So, what do you really know about the lens? And B, not looking at the practicalities of what you're actually looking at. So, what do I mean by that? Well, let's start off with right off the bat the 7180 2.8 versus the 7200 2.8. Now, there's a couple really quick things if you're doing the analysis paralysis thing, you're going to notice. One is price, one is physical weight. Why would, one be better than the other? Well, let's just think it for a second. What is the biggest difference? Well, between these two lenses, the first thing you're going to notice is the 70-180 does not have internal zooming. In other words, when you zoom from 70 to 180, the lens expands and contracts. If you have the 70 to 200, as you zoom, the lens does not expand or contract. If you're working in a scenario, let's say, for example, where you are in a closed space and you can't afford the lens to expand or contract because you are limited by space, the 7180 is not the tool. If you do not have that constriction, then the 7180 is the tool. Does that make sense? I mean, it doesn't take analysis paralysis to figure out. People go, well, it costs less, so the 7180 must not be as good a lens. No, the glass is great. I shot with it 2 weeks ago. Really sharp lens. It's just that no one invested in manufactured internal zooming. So you're not having to pay the higher price for that feature because it's not there. There's nothing about this, inferiority of the elements. It's just that one simple thing isn't part of the construction. That saves money. That means the lens will be lower price. So there's not a lot of analysis paralysis there. If you just, and this is going to sound bad because you're listening to me via the web, but just turn off the damn web. I mean, all these backseat drivers, and if you look at their pictures, they suck. How can someone really give you a valuable, information about lens when their pictures suck? I mean, unless don't take this wrong, but if your pictures suck and you can relate to those sucky lenses, then maybe you should look at and listen to and believe those reviews. But I don't think that's the case. I don't think your pictures suck. And how do you know? I look, okay? I'm out there watching. I'm seeing what's going on and I talk to folks. Maybe you should aspire to something better, which comes back to my brother's advice. Buy the best you can afford. And the best has to do with pushing yourself in photography. Let's talk about that other combination, the 180, the 180 to 600, which I have not even seen yet. I haven't shot with it, versus the Z 100 to 400, which I have seen and which I shot. I really love the Z 100 to 400. No, it doesn't go to 600. Why would one get the bigger lens, the 600 millimeter, versus the 400 millimeter? Why get the 180 600 over the 100 400? Perhaps you think you need that 600 reach. But if you put at 1.4 and the teleconverters for the Z, you can't tell they're there. They're just spectacular pieces of instruments and glass. You can put that on the 100 400, and you're going to have the same basic working f-stop as the 180 to 600, and you're going to be at 560. But you're going to have a smaller package that does not expand or contract the same way. So it's not that much a different comparison between the first two zooms. So you don't have to do analysis paralysis. You don't really. It's not A versus B either, which is so important. People set up this kind of almost war mentality. It's A versus B. Who's gonna win? Kind of thing. Where you're talking about yourself and your photography. Oh my goodness, gosh! I mean, what is the best? Now, the one problem that we all face, and I am right there with the rest of you, is the fact that how do you know until you actually have it and use it in real world scenario? So, if you thought I was going to tell you about this piece of material or this testing device or this methodology, yeah, I don't do that. It's not relative to what I do. I don't shoot targets with camera gear for a living. I shoot critters and landscapes and aviation. How do you get that real world knowledge that you are buying what you need or what works for you? I'm here to tell you, you got to rent. One guy's like, well, where do I rent? It's like, use Google. You live in a town, Google that town. If it doesn't work, expand it. Most of the rental houses have really just top notch um, shipping and return so you can rent for the period you need. And here's the thing that is really critical in renting: you've got to rent it more than one day. Seriously, you have to rent it and plan it. And keep in mind that you're talking about spending some serious money on that next piece of gear. You want a real, true world testing. So rent it so that you get it in the middle of the week. So you can be at home, you can feel it, you can play with it and get used to it. And then have it so you can shoot one weekend, 2 days minimum. And in the perfect world, you want 2 weekends and go out and push that and do nothing but shoot with that piece of gear, be it a body or lens. Shoot with it and shoot with it and shoot with it. And then look at the photographs. Don't One of the biggest, I think, mistakes most photographers do is they get in a rush. Um, that lens will be available when you want it. That body is there when you need it. Think it through. Look at what you're doing. Take notes. If you're, looking at bodies, you can use my settings on the website. Quickly find the settings, get you up and going at least for that body test. For the lens, shoot every way you can imagine. The problem you want that thing, that be it for macro work or for landscape work or portrait work, and then do something 180 from that. So, for example, if you're looking at the 135 1/8, because I sure am, boy, I'm going to be saving my pennies up again for that, for that piece of gear. Yeah, shoot, okay, the portraits. But what else can you do? I'm going to point it instantly towards aircraft. That's what I want it for. Think outside the box. Make the list. Don't get stuck in analysis paralysis. Think about your photography. What did you want to take a picture of? What was the final result to look like? And will that lens do it for you? It's not simple, but it's not complicated. It is what you make of it. So take a deep breath. Remember, it's not A versus B. It's not some strategic war you're trying to figure out the victor in. Don't get stuck in analysis paralysis, looking at a bunch of numbers, which, in honesty, most people don't relate to anyway. Just fantasize about the photograph that you want to take. And will that piece of gear bring that fantasy to life? You folks have a great week out there. And remember to make every click your story.